Hey YouTube, Puff and Snuff here. Ian checking in as always from beautiful Northeast Ohio. I am here to submit my guess for the Name That Snuff, or I guess a better way to say it is Define That Snuff contest that Chris over at the Open Source Project is holding. The name of the snuff is Easter Egg. And if you don't know, if you're not on Snuff House or the Facebook groups or wherever else, he's put together this snuff and sent it out. Anybody that can guess what is in it will win a free tin of all of the snuffs that Open Source puts out this year. So, and if you haven't had them, Open Source snuffs have been really damn good. So it's a hell of a prize. I will say I'm not going to launch into a full-on review of this thing. It is a contest after all, but if you haven't had it yet, it is totally worth trying. Whether you want to participate in the contest or not, in its own right, it's a fine snuff. So I'll drop some information right down there, just to direct you over to the Open Source Project where you can get a hold of Chris and get a hold of some Easter egg. Onto the snuff itself. You know, I have gone around in circles over the last week playing with this thing, trying to figure out what I thought it was. And right out of the tin, you get this really smoky, almost peaty kind of aroma. And there's like a million different ways you could achieve that. It could be using certain liquors as an adjunct. It could come from Latakia. It could come from other ways of treating the leaf. And it's just, I've really struggled with trying to define where I think that smokiness is coming from. And I'll be honest, I watched Huckman, H-U-K-M-A-N, his channel. He put out his guess, and his guess included Latakia. And for the longest time, I was convinced that there was Latakia in this thing. And over the last day or two, for better or for worse, I think I've kind of talked myself out of that. It's very smoky in the nose, and it's very Latakia-y smoky in the nose. And it's, even right now, it's hard for me not to say that that's what it is. But when I look at the snuff itself, when I kind of tamp it down in the tin a little bit and take a look, you can see these dark flakes, which would make sense for Latakia. But Latakia has a way of taking things over. You can use it really, really sparingly in pipe tobacco and still get a Latakia experience. You can use it even more sparingly in snuff and really get the Latakia. And I'm looking, and there is a fair amount of these little black flecks. And I feel like if that were Latakia, there would be no confusion. It would be like sniffing a campfire. The more time I spend with it in my nose, fresh air or near a fan or anything with moving air or outdoor air, the smokiness is less to me of that campfire-y, leathery smoke and more of an earthy, almost peaty kind of smoke. And I'm fairly certain I'm about to make a complete idiot out of myself. And Chris, please comment and let the world know what an idiot I am when this proves to be wrong. I think it might be dark-fired leaf. More of a fire-cured, dark-cured Kentucky leaf than it is actual Latakia. And even saying that out loud, it sounds and feels really wrong to say. Beyond that, the nicotine is moderate. Nicotine for me is a tricky thing, and I've talked about that on here before. God. And there are so many things that can affect nicotine, right? You can play with the free nicotine by doing all sorts of fun sciencey things. It can be the part of the leaf that you use, the type of leaf that you use. I certainly don't think it's strong enough to be rustica tobacco in here, so I'm eliminating that as a source of the leaf here. the longer it's in the nose, you do get kind of these roasty, cocoa-y kind of notes, which to me kind of screams, or at least maybe softly mutters, a burley, an aged kind of burley. There is a sweetness to it, which you'd expect from a Virginia, I guess. This is really hard. I will say that Chris has used some really crazy-ass ingredients in some of his snuffs. If you go back on his blog and look at Open Source Project 1, 2, and 3, there's some weird, funky stuff in there. And they all work. The snuffs are all great. I'm not getting anything real weird and funky in here. And I was torn between a very simple tobacco flower with a specific sort of liquor adjunct added to create this smoky, peaty, earthy, or just a straight tobacco bill with no adjuncts intended to add aroma, and using actual leaf, the dark fired leaf, to arrive at the smoke. And I think that's where I'm going to land. So, in what may prove to be pure lunacy, my first effort at identifying this snuff is going to be that it is primarily aged burley leaf with a substantial enough amount of probably a pretty straightforward flue-cured Virginia, just to add balance and body, and that just something to kind of offset the earthy smokiness, and that smoke isn't coming from anything non-tobacco. It is coming from a dark-fired or dark-fired-like Kentucky non-Latakia condimental leaf. So, and then I'll say that I don't believe there's any adjuncts in here, even though I don't know that I really believe that. That'll be my guess. So you got a Burley and Virginia straightforward snuff with enough dark-fired Kentucky leaf used as a condiment to create an earthy, smoky, peaty undertone and overtone to the whole thing. So that is my guess. If you don't have it, run out, get yourself some Easter egg. I haven't seen many guesses on Facebook or here on YouTube. I think it'd be a lot of fun if more of us would throw these things out there. I think that would make the contest more fun if it was more of an open, it's open source snuff. Let's get some of these guesses out there. I'd love to see what everybody else is thinking. It can't just be me and Huckman out here. So, guys, that's all I've got. I working on a few other reviews coming up. I've got some snuff coming in from Rosinski. I have one that I'm playing with now, Poltergeist. It's an amazing snuff. Hoping to review that here in the next couple of days. And we'll see where that takes us. Guys, that's all for me. Take it easy.